galaxy far, far away, where the bacon heads listened. No, it's a galaxy far, far away, isn't it?
A long time ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far,
Take
far
two.
away. No.
Take two.
No.
Anyways, hey everybody, welcome to the show.
I didn't mean to
welcome to
stop
Bacon
you.
on the Rocks. It's all good.
That's a really funny video. I feel like I've showed you too, Chris, like where these guys are talking on this one show or something I was watching, and it's like, wait, so you're telling me that Star Wars happens in the past in a different like world?
Yeah. In a galaxy far, far away. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Anybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bacon on the Rocks. And I would like to say welcome, because tonight is Eric's night. Because if you tuned in last week, it was all about The Princess Bride. And we talked about it because I was dead set against seeing it. But it was a movie that both Chris and Eric saw. So we discussed it. I watched it. And you know what? In the end, I did turn my whole thought around on it, and I enjoyed it. This week is Eric's, and his is all about the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Do I got that right?
Which I want to say I was not.
Right? Okay.
Which I was not completely against watching, like Chuck.
Yes. Eric was not against it. He was a good sport, unlike me.
Just hadn't gotten around to it in the last 20 years.
Just hadn't gotten around to it.
That's okay. Well, he got around to it now. And so Eric is ready, and we're going to discuss that tonight. But before we get going, let me introduce. We got Eric. We got our Padawan, Eric Kwiatek, with us, and we've got our Jedi Master, Chris Walsh. Guys, as always, welcome to the show. And we have our wonderful sponsor, which is Uncle Pete's Lightsaber Repairs and More. So if you got a lightsaber and you need it repaired, take it to Uncle Pete's. He'll take care of you. No problem. No questions asked either. So, anyways, Star Wars. Where do we want to start with this? We got to start with episode. It will be,
well, wait,
even though it's.
I'll give you my background with Star Wars going into this. The OG trilogy, 4 through 6, I watched in my mid-20s. So I went a long time without seeing those too. Then just completely put off ever seeing the original or the prequels because everyone's like, you don't have to see them, yada yada. Everyone has their own take on them. A lot of people are more poor on them than positive. So I just never got around to it. It's not like I avoided it on purpose. I just never did, I guess. Then Disney acquired Star Wars. New movies were coming out. I saw 7 in theaters. I did not see 8 for whatever reason. Until 9 came out, I watched 8 the day before, and then saw 9 in theaters.
So I've done that before with movies.
When you saw the original trilogy, was the prequel trilogy out at that time?
Oh, well out. Yeah.
So you didn't feel
you
didn't feel like the need?
The prequel trilogy has been out for what, 20 years now?
Oh, don't say that.
21 years for the first one.
The first one, yeah.
By the last one, 15.
That's messed. I'm sorry. That's messed up. I mean, say it like that.
I saw these movies like 6 years ago. I saw the original trilogy like 6-7 years ago.
Okay. What was it that made you want to watch?
8 years ago?
Why did you want to watch the original trilogy at that time? Like, what drew you to that?
It was available to me. My friend had the DVD set at the time.
Okay.
And it was almost one of those things where when I would tell people I hadn't seen it, they're like, "You haven't seen Star Wars?" But Eric, you're a nerd. Why haven't you seen Star Wars? Like that was usually like the response I would get when I'd say I hadn't seen it. So I guess I felt like almost a necessity. Again, not that I avoided seeing it or I helped this like, I haven't seen Star Wars and I don't plan on seeing Star Wars type of mentality. Like it was just I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I got that look from two guys when I said I hadn't watched Princess Bride.
Right.
Anyways, sorry. Continue.
So I ended up watching them and obviously thoroughly enjoyed them. And like they're great movies. They're great movies. What's great about those movies is they're great movies now, just not great movies for their time. Like they're really great movies for their time, but they're still great movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we'll get onto my opinions on the prequel ones shortly.
So watching the original trilogy didn't make you want to run out and watch the prequel trilogy, though?
No. Because I guess I had heard so much negative. Honestly, my friend might have had the whole, like, 6 movies on DVD, and I don't want to say avoided, but didn't go out of my way to watch the prequels. I keep on wanting to say original because it's 1 through 3, but prequels. I did not. I don't know. I've just been overwhelmed with such negative reception that I'd never felt the need to go out of my way. But I don't really I don't think I was avoiding it. It was what it was.
So after watching them,
after watching them, do you want an overall opinion right now, or do we want to go slowly through them?
you want to go movie by movie?
Sure, let's go movie by movie. I'll give you let me give you my quick overview of every movie by movie. Episode 1 started off. All I could say was I hated Jar Binks. I was just completely. I heard all about it. I knew all about it going into it, but holy crap! And the thing is, looking forward, he doesn't annoy me at all in the future movies. Like, obviously, he's still goofy or whatever, but like, he doesn't annoy me. He literally annoys me.
Well, he was a much more prominent character in the Phantom Menace.
In the first one.
Yeah.
I think
there's very
they
little
toned
of
him
him in
down.
the
I
other
think
two.
because of the reaction, sure.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, by the second half, I wasn't really annoyed with him. But that first half, it was just like, oh, and here's Jar Jar, and oh, he stepped in poop. Isn't that funny? Look at Jar Jar. Like, why was that necessary? Oh, there's a fart sound. Oh, let's look. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta have something that the kids will laugh at while they're there.
Yeah, that was, they were trying to make a character for the children, basically.
You don't gotta pander that much, though. Like,
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, everyone obviously has their opinion on Jar Jar, and most of them's negative. I'll leave it at that. But by the end of the movie, I had forgotten all about Jar Jar because I was annoyed by Anakin.
That's another consensus with the prequels in general, really.
Yeah.
But especially that movie.
Like, I get it. He's a child actor, and but like, the things he was saying just seemed so out of place. And like, oh, now this is pod racing or whatever. Like what? Like,
Yeah.
and it sounded like it was added over. Like it did not seem like natural dialogue, even from however old he was at the time. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't seem. It seemed forced, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like the first one. Second movie. Second movie. All I can say about the second movie really is there was way too much CGI.
Yeah. Another complaint with those movies.
And the first one, there was some CGI. It didn't bother me. The third one, I felt by then they actually knew what they were doing with the CGI. And there were some scenes where I was like, wow, actually that kind of looked cool. But that second one, there was stuff where it looked like they just forgot to even put textures on things. And it was just like...
It's forced. It felt like it was forced,
It was... I took a screenshot of something. It was like, it looked like a... Not even... I don't want to say a PlayStation 2 graphic. Like, it was PlayStation 2 when it first came out type of graphics. Like, just like... there's no textures on anything. It's just... Yeah. It didn't look close to real.
Yeah. You also got to remember you're watching those movies after seeing, Avengers Endgame and all these other stuff.
Yeah, but but Chris,
those were these movies were the movies that made like what they're doing now possible. Like, yeah. I get what you're saying, I do, but like at the time those were like cutting. It was like cutting edge, but it didn't. Like, I agree with you though. It didn't look. You
say
good.
That, but Jurassic Park came out in '93. Yeah. Granted, they used a lot of puppetry and electronic stuff in that, a lot of like, but like when it did go see, that's what I feel like it went too much into staging everything in CGI, where they could have had some real elements and then added the CGI in instead of like, I don't know, like a lot of it was bad. Like it took me out of it because it was so bad. And then there's one specific scene where there's a shadow. I don't even want to get into that.
The shadow. Go ahead. Tell us what it is.
Okay, so there's a
this
shadow.
More than anything.
I sent this to Chris actually while I was watching it too. There's a scene. I think you were just with Chris. There's a scene.
No,
where.
Anyways, continue.
There's a scene where Anakin and
Padme,
yeah. Okay. Anakin's outside contemplating life by himself, and then Padme comes out, and then like it follows her out, but then she walks off camera, and then it focuses on a shadow on the hut that she just came out of, and their shadows are centered on this hut, and they're like conversing, whatever, and then it cuts to a wider shot where you can now see these two, but their shadows are in a completely different spot on that hut. Like if it was just a continuity error in the background, and it was like, oh, those things don't make sense, whatever, but they literally focused. They focused on this shadow. You could only see this shadow in one scene, and then it cuts away, and the shadow doesn't make sense to what they were just showing instantaneously. And it just completely, like maybe it's just me noticing nonsense, but like it was just like, wait, what? What just happened?
It's pretty noticeable. The sad thing about that too is like what you're saying with the CGI. They could have fixed that pretty easily with CGI, you know?
Or just be aware, like they specifically shot this shot where it was focused on this, and then it's, I don't know, whatever. It's a small thing, but
to Eric it's not, but yes,
ruined the whole movie.
It ruined the whole entire everything. Star Wars, everything. You all suck.
I probably watched that one
it's
scene
over
for
right
like
there.
15 minutes. Like, did I see what I actually saw? Let me record this. Let me send this to people. What's happening right here? Why is this bothering me
wrap
so
your head
much?
around it.
Did it bug you? No, didn't even see it, Eric. Sorry.
And what bothered me about the third movie?
There wasn't enough Jar Binks.
No. There was an absolute fine amount of Jar Binks in the third one. I guess. Oh, what really bothered me about the third one is when Obi-Wan goes to Padme and tells her about Anakin joining the dark side, and she's, no, he wouldn't do that. He's like, he killed like this. It's like, oh, you don't know him. He wouldn't do that. Dude, this dude literally the last movie just told you about how he like killed a bunch of people, and then you like got turned on by it somehow. And now you're like, oh no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
Not at all.
Whatever. And that whole relationship was just weird too. Based on their differences in the first movie of age, and then whatever.
It was an odd choice.
Yeah. So that's my general overall of the three. Focusing, I guess, mostly on the negatives. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hate them. The third one, another problem with the third one for me is how, like, the movie was ending, and it's like, oh shoot, we got to make these all make sense for the fourth one. So we're gonna have you have kids. We're gonna send them over here. We're gonna take you. Obi-Wan, just go in hiding for a while. You'll come out when you're needed. And then Darth Vader. They're like, it seemed like, oh shoot, this is what we got to do now to make it make sense for 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like you had the blueprint of where these people had to end up the whole time. Like you could have come up with better explanation of how everything.
We got the last 7 minutes for that, Chris. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Princess Bride, where it was just a wedding scene, and it's just, we have to get through it. Just bleh. There we go. Got it.
But they knew where they had to end up.
Yeah.
And they had 3 movies. They had 3 movies to get them there.
And they created like a lot of.
We got 95% the way through. It's like, oh, let's get them there somehow.
Yeah.
Guys, we got to tie it all together. What's the plan? Come on. Writers are up all night putting it together. There we go. We got a scene.
Yeah, and they end up creating like a lot of like, I guess, loopholes from the original trilogy. Like, like off the top of my head, like Han doesn't believe in the Force at all in the original trilogy, but he's best friends with Chewie, who apparently fought a battle
with Yoda.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's if you really like read into everything,
they made loopholes in their own movie. I think in the opening scroll for the first one, it's talking about how Obi-Wan was a Jedi basically already, not an apprentice, and then by the end of the movie, he ends his apprenticeship and then is called a master or whatever. But in the opening scroll, they already refer to him as such.
Well, there's only so much room in those opening scrolls.
So that's another thing that kind of bothers me about Star Wars movies while we're on the topic of opening scrolls. How many other movies can get away with, let's just put a couple of paragraphs to explain what happened. We don't have to show anything. We could just put some yellow text up there and everyone will accept it.
Put some yellow text.
It's true.
Make it fade off into the distance.
Well, now it's like you expect it from the Star Wars movies.
Right, it's its thing. But like, if any other movie, it was just like, all right, so this is where we are. This is what happened. We're not going to actually establish anything. We're just going to put it. We're not even going to tell. We're not have a narrator voiceover like nonsense. We're just going to throw it up on the screen and catch up.
Here it is.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of movies that do that. You know,
in the common era, what?
In the common era. Well, I think you got to go with the 70s, 80s era because that's when this started.
Yeah,
you know?
but
and now they're just continuing.
Still able to do it.
Well, they're continuing the tradition. You know.
Yeah, just like it's terrible transitions. I get it.
Yeah.
they
But didn't
fade down
Conan do
they
that?
pan right down to a planet.
Starwipe.
And Starwipe. If you don't know what we're talking about, type Simpsons Starwipe and you will know what we're talking about. Continue. Great bit. But they didn't do Starwipe. They panned down to a planet or a spaceship coming across.
Well, yeah.
No, but it was a wipe across the screen, or it was the time clock transition. Like they always did a transition of something. It was never just a clear fade. It was never a fade to black. It was always like some sort of weird transition. Sometimes it would make sense. Sometimes it would move this way, and there was actually like a vehicle moving this way. And then sometimes it was like a passage of time. So they do the clock one, and it would make sense because there was a passage of time. And then sometimes they just do this, and then we're somewhere else. We're just doing it.
In a movie, a clock wipe never makes sense in a movie unless it's a comedy. There should never be a clock wipe. I'm sorry. At all, ever.
I mean,
in a normal movie like Star Wars,
George Lucas found cool buttons for his transitions and wanted to press them way back in, what was the original? 79?
77.
77? He's like, oh, check this out, guys. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's cool, but I don't think we have no, but watch. And just like added it everywhere.
Ooh.
Well, they had to use an optical printer back in those days, I think, to get those effects in there.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't there.
There wasn't a button, but still, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I know. I'm with you on that, Eric. I know.
You know me. I'd give me a cross dissolve. Not even a cross dissolve. A dip to black and then a comeback. That's
Eric's.
That's me.
And that I'm not.
This way, you're not creating weird ghost images on things too.
Ghosting.
Yeah. What else did I like about the movies? I mean, I feel like I'm talking mostly negative, but I enjoyed them, I guess. Mm-hmm. Is what I would say. How I would phrase it. But I understand why most people, especially at the time that they came out, really disliked them because the original trilogy is very superior. But they were fun. There was a lot of moments where it took me out of it, where I was like, oh, that's kind of dumb. But one that comes to mind, too, is when, all right, so It was episode 1, right? Where no, this is episode 2, where they have the vehicles and like they're chasing. There's the chase scene and like because Anakin's older. Anakin goes to save Obi-Wan, and how he's able to go down faster than he's falling down, yada yada. And then you find out that a bounty hunter was set on him by a bounty hunter, and then when the bounty hunter failed, the bounty hunter killed the other bounty hunter when the bounty hunter could have just killed him. What was that all about?
Yeah, I would agree. I've thought of that myself many times too, and that's my least favorite, probably of all the 9 movies. Either that or the Last Jedi. I'm not sure which, but that one is just. I feel like Attack of the Clones just has no real defining moments. Even though I guess like the Battle of Geonosis is supposed to be like this grand start of the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
I
thought that was fun. Seeing all those lightsabers at once was fun. Like,
yeah, I always think it's kind of weird to like when I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lightsaber doesn't seem like the best weapon to choose for a battlefield like that. But I don't know.
What do you mean? Well, if you have the Force and you can deflect stuff and
right, but there was a lot of blasters on that. On that battlefield.
Yeah.
How do you know where you're being shot from behind?
And that's the biggest thing in all these movies, just all of them, the whole way through, is having the Force, having a lightsaber in these fights. It's like they just totally depend on the lightsaber and using it when it's like, okay, I can have a lightsaber and at the same time, and I know at moments they would like bring in objects or other things, but there always seemed to be a point in the movie where they're in a battle scene and I'm watching, and I'm sorry, I can't think of one right off the top of my head. But just like that, they'd be able to end this fight really quick if they just like dropped rocks on the person like immediately as that was happening.
Yeah,
or like drop the rocks, it distracts them, then they stab them. I don't know. It always seems like there was a better way for them to end these battles faster, but they always took forever because they were fighting with the lightsabers. But that's me.
Like these Jedis have the Force. There's so many things they can do. How about Force speed? They used that once, and that didn't happen ever again.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was like, oh, cool. They can get away from stuff real fast. Well, I can't wait to see them use that again.
Yeah.
They don't. Did they forget they had that? What happened?
Well, yeah. They do a lot of jumping. Superhuman like jumping with flips.
Yeah, but then there's times they don't use it. It's like, why didn't you just jump over there? Or like you're falling out of a window. Why can't you use the Force to pull yourself back up from falling out of a window? I don't know. There are a lot of ways I was just like, why didn't you use the Force more to protect yourself? But I don't know. I just go with it. I don't overanalyze movies.
Yeah.
Why can't they fly? Why can't they use the Force on themselves to control themselves and go places?
I mean, there's
probably can they make each other fly? Can Obi make? Oh, that okay. I just said Obi. That kind of reminded me. That's another thing I didn't like is them calling Anakin Annie the whole time.
Well, his nickname. They're trying to keep it casual.
I get it. It doesn't work when it's this character that's going to be this big evil. And I get, oh yeah, he's our friend Annie. Don't mess with Annie. Annie. What are you doing, Annie? Like, I don't call Chuck Chucky. Like,
right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll start.
Well, Anakin doesn't really roll off the tongue like Chuck does.
Yeah, but it's such a different name to me. Like, Annie's not good short for Anakin.
Yeah. It's good for a kid, but when you're like a teenager to adult, you don't want to be called Annie. You should want to be called Anakin. I feel.
Yeah, and they didn't really call him Annie as much until the second and third movie, more than the first movie.
Yeah, well, they didn't really know him in the first one.
Yeah, but like his mom didn't call him Annie. Why are we all of a sudden calling him Annie?
I think she did a couple times.
Did his mom call him Annie? Maybe she did. I could be completely wrong about that.
Flying bug monster thing called him Annie, though. Whoever owned him at the time.
Did he? The owner? The shop?
Watto?
Yeah. Yep.
Waddle.
Yep. He goes Annie. Yeah. Annie. Yeah. Exactly. So
I think he just had a speech impediment though.
you can't say kid. So, and then I think Padme was just like her. It was like his pet name or her pet name for him. She just kind of kept it going into the second.
Yeah.
You know, just like. Well, I can't. I don't know. I don't have anything. I mean, the only thing I have to compare is like my dad's name was also Chuck. So to define the two of us, he was Chuck. I was Chucky. Growing up, so couldn't that's that's the closest thing I got to compare it.
Speaking
to.
of that,
So
that's
but he didn't have a father.
That was another thing I didn't know about the series is that Anakin was basically an immaculate conception.
Yeah. That got
through the midichlorian making him his mom pregnant.
Yeah. Well, there's a comic book that implies that the Emperor had something to do with it.
I feel like it was kind of implied in the third movie too. Like they said something along the lines of, there was something along the lines of being able to control the midichlorian, yada yada yada, to do something and basically make people bear children.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never a huge fan of the whole midichlorian concept. But if
it's weird, I feel like, isn't that something that's like in Scientology too? Like they have a different name for it, but it's your something level, and
it's like a chi, sort of like chi.
Yeah, I gotta look this up. There's like when you sign up for Scientology, like you go through tests and they tell you what your level of something is.
Oh gosh, now come on, South Park, come through. Your begins with a T. T.
It does ring a bell now.
Thetan levels.
Thetan levels, yes. TH. Yep.
Thetan.
Yep.
So I mean,
Stan is off the charts.
Basically, midichlorian is just Thetan to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stan is Anakin.
Stan is Anakin. Yeah. Off the charts. He's the reincarnation.
He was off the charts.
Of the guy. I can't think of his name. I love that episode.
All right, so I feel, Chuck, if you have more to say, just feel like jumping in on time too. I feel like we're carrying this for you.
Well, we're having technical issues, so
Chris,
you guys are doing great. Keep it up. I'm doing as best I can when you guys reappear.
That is unfortunately always true too. Chris, so you've already mentioned that the second one is not your favorite; it's your least favorite of the series. What are your thoughts on 1 and 3 though? Like,
I think 1 has its moments where it's very enjoyable. I remember like going to the theater to see that when it came out, like on opening day, and when Qui-Gon is like taking his lightsaber and like trying to get through the blast doors on the ship in the very beginning there. Like I remember just being like, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. And then it got into the whole like
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Binks and like the Gungan underwater thing, and then they went on this detour to Tatooine.
Oh yeah, they went underwater.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was weird.
I thought it was weird how it was just like, they go to the underwater city with the Gungans, which was kind of cool. I'll give you that. But then they take the sub, and then they're chased by the big fish, and then there's the bigger fish, and then they get away. But then they go through the cave, and then there's another fish after they lose power. You know what I mean? Like, it would just seem like, let's just get to the A story. Let's get back to the A story. I don't need all this, creatures and stuff like that.
So that was another thing I never really thought about with Star Wars. I guess I kind of thought about it because I thought about it while watching this movie, but like, it doesn't happen in our galaxy. Mm-hmm. It happens in a galaxy far, far away.
Right. A long time ago.
It happens way in the past.
Yep.
But like, humans are a thing, and not just humans, but like, they refer to underwater creatures as fish. And they refer to these flying things as birds. So like, there's birds. There's the same classifications. There's birds, and there's fish, and there's humans, but there's no Earth.
No. There's a bunch of other planets though.
but fish and birds are on other planets too.
Well, I mean, I think at some point you gotta like you're throwing all these like aliens and the Force and spaceships. You gotta give people something that they can kind of grasp, and they don't have to explain to them.
Relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like I'm okay with all that stuff existing, but I feel like it all should have came from the same planet. And then I don't know.
No,
Well, I mean, mostly
I get it, but I think you got to just accept it because it's like otherwise, it's like you've got to rename so many things, and it just isn't gonna work unless you actually have it. It's like, okay, these are birds, these are fish, this is water. You got to have those common things happening.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. So like. What are those big things called that are like the giant elephant-like things or giant? They have the horns. I can't think of the name.
Mudhorn.
I don't know.
The thing from the Mandalorian that was in. I think it's the same thing that's in the second one.
Maybe they used the word later on, and I don't remember. Anyway, but like, so is that a mammal? Like, is that under a classification of a mammal?
I don't know.
Or is it under? I don't see. Like, this is weird stuff. I just got to thinking about that. Just Eric being way too into it.
No.
What else can I talk about? What else can I talk about not liking about these movies? I feel like we talked very positively about Chuck's movie, and now here I am crapping on.
Oh, you're pulling a Chuck.
Well, it's common to do that to the prequels.
Okay, so what I loved about the original trilogy, what I like about the sequel trilogy, is the majority of the characters are played by actors that are not famous for anything else. Whether they got their start with Star Wars or they got their big break with Star Wars, and that's like, you hear Mark Hamill, it's Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
You hear Fisher, it's Princess Leia. Like, there's nothing else that comes to mind when you hear those. Well, maybe when you hear Mark Hamill, you think of the Joker.
No.
But like, as a physical,
That's you told me. I didn't know. It was just Star Wars.
Oh yeah, he's a accomplished voice actor.
He is a great voice actor. But like, when it comes to like actual acting, like he's Luke Skywalker. He's nothing else.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, it's still early for a lot of these actors, but that's the exact same way I feel about all Kylo Ren and what's her name?
Ray.
Ray.
And Ray, yeah, I almost said Ren again. I was like Ren. I just said Ren. That's how I feel about them currently in these ones. And Poe, like those actors are those people to me. Whereas when I watch this, I'm like, oh shit! Here, I said shoot. By the way, you don't have to censor that. Oh shoot! It sounded a little bit in between, but it was a shoot. Oh shoot! This is Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
This is all I'm watching right now is Liam Neeson with a
Samuel L.
lightsaber.
Jackson.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
I know. That definitely changed.
I thought that Liam Neeson kind of blended into the role pretty well, but Sam Jackson, I felt like, just brought me out of it every time.
I honestly, I'm going to say the opposite.
Really?
And not to say that Samuel L. Jackson didn't take me out of it, but I felt like Liam Neeson did a lot more. Because his voice, he was Liam Neeson with longer hair and a lightsaber.
Yeah.
The way he said stuff and the way he acted was Liam Neeson with a lightsaber.
Right. I mean, you got to remember, too, though, you're watching this 20 years after. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know
known. He was somewhat known at the time, but he wasn't like
Liam Neeson known now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this was like the first action-y thing I think he did. I mean, obviously he's done like, those Taken movies and like all these other things now, but like at the time he was more of like a dramatic actor, I want to say. Like, I think he had done like Rob Roy or something like that. Was he in that?
I didn't know him
was
from
more of
anything
like a
except for
period.
Star Wars. Star Wars was the first time I really kind of knew him. So I know for Eric it is different watching it later, but it's like did not know anything about him until I watched Star Wars.
I mean, he had definitely been in things like when I saw those movies for the first time, or I guess he's really only in the one, but he wasn't known as like an action guy or anything like that at the time. I don't think, from what I remember.
And I mean, I guess that's fair, but even looking back at, I mean, Harrison Ford, yeah, but like, I don't know. I still, when I see even Harrison Ford, the first thing that still comes to mind,
because you haven't seen it,
is him as Han Solo.
Because you haven't seen.
Because I haven't seen yet. Coming up next, we're gonna have Eric watch the Indiana Jones
Indiana.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Trilogy, by the way. I won't go past.
I think Ewan McGregor was pretty famous at the time. He had done like Train Spotting and a bunch of other stuff, but like, I mean, I think is the best part about the prequels, if you ask me.
I will agree with that. Yeah, I will agree with that.
I mean, he had a kind of a difficult role to fill too, where he was playing this beloved character by a wonderful actor, Alec Guinness. Had done Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, and he kind of came in and made it very believable that he was like the younger version of that character. And I mean, I would say, I think like either my personal favorite like lightsaber battle is probably Obi-Wan versus Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. I think that's probably the best in all the 9 movies. But also from the first one, with especially the parts where Obi-Wan and Darth Maul are fighting, I think are excellent. I think when Liam Neeson, when Qui-Gon, when it's when it's the 3 of them, the 2 against 1, I think it's kind of still like a little clunky. But when Darth Maul and Obi-Wan are going at it, like at the end afterwards, it's like that's like the highlight of that movie for me. But I also thought that sequence was weird. Like, what is the purpose of that hallway that has like these laser shields that just are on this timing sequence? Like, why does that do that? I always wondered that.
I'm just gonna stop and look at you through this, and then we're just all gonna kind of like hang out and like kneel down for a moment and just wait. It's like, I feel like the moms had to come out with the oranges for halftime at that point.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, you sort of like liken it to like that scene in The Rock where Sean Connery has the timing down of the thing. Like, I don't really know what that thing did in Alcatraz, where it was like all the fire and whatever, but like that seemed more believable than this thing. Like, what was the point of blocking off those short distances of things? Like, I don't know. Like, I realized it was probably just a plot device, but like at least make it like, I don't know.
But like, if you're gonna make a plot device, make it look like it could have a reason in real life.
Right. Yeah.
Like, maybe if it was some sort of airlock.
Yeah.
And there was only 1 or 2 of them, like,
yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah, this was like a long hallway.
It was just like, and
they're like every 5 feet or something like that. Yeah. It's like this.
It was a video game level.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I thought the pod racing scene in the first one was just like a little long, I thought it was kind of cool. But
speaking of video game,
yeah, that was a good game.
Like, right. I feel like one of the main reasons why it was in the movie was to
sell the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that pod racing. There's no way he should have won. That's my opinion. Like, with everything that was happening to him, and he had a late start, and then it broke. I don't think he should have won at all. I don't know how that was possible.
Yeah, with the late start.
Yeah,
I agree. Why did they even do? Why did they do that?
I don't know.
I get that the guy's cheating, and that's fine. But like, I guess that he didn't start. It didn't start because of the thing he broke off. That came into play later. But like the thing, just to have it start, and maybe he's like in last place, but like they're all like in a cluster.
Maybe have them like a false start or something, not just have them like way behind. And then look, I don't know.
No, that one I didn't like that part. I'm like, no, there's no way he won. Sorry, nope, not at all. You lost.
I found it interesting too that like you control a pod racer basically the way you would drive a 0-turn mower. It's got like the little, it's got like the little handles, and you're like, I don't know.
And yet it's turning this way, and it's going like It's like, how's that happening? Unless he has foot pedals, he might have foot pedals that are just like an airplane. There might be foot pedals we can't see.
That's true.
So
there might be.
Let's.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah. He's the only human that can do it. I thought that was weird too. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he had the Force.
Right.
He could see stuff. He had basically premonition.
Right, but couldn't like Obi-Wan jump in a pod racer into it at that point though? Like anyone with Jedi reflexes?
He'd never driven one before.
Yeah, but he can see stuff. Yeah, why didn't he know his thing wasn't going to work and just be like, "Oh, look, that's not going to work. I got to fix it now." Come on, Force, work with me.
Well, you can only see what
I know.
What makes sense for the plot.
To quote Han Solo, that's not how the Force works.
I guess that's.
What do you want?
Again, at the end of the day, I enjoyed the movies.
I thought the Revenge of the Sith was overall really good. That had its moments where certain things like were kind of.
I liked it until the last 5 minutes where it's like, oh, let's do all this stuff, like I mentioned.
Yeah. Like the beginning of that movie, I think is like excellent. Where they're doing General Grievous is taking the Chancellor, and they have the whole spaceship. That's one of the things I think it was missing from Attack of the Clones was there was no like great space battle. It was all like on the surface of Geonosis, and it was kind of like just like a lot of lasers and like lines of. It was almost like Revolutionary War era tactics in Star Wars, where they're all just lining up and then they're just shooting at each other, from like 10 feet away from each other, which is weird.
Right, like they could have used trench warfare at least, like something a little bit more.
Right, they did. They did that in Solo.
Didn't they do
in Solo?
They did. Yeah, didn't they? Did it in Solo? Wasn't it in when they were on Hoth too?
Yeah,
they have, like, trenches?
Yeah, basically, yeah. But they go through the whole space battle sequence, and then they get on the thing, and then there's some cool like lightsaber battles, and then the thing crash lands on Coruscant. Like I thought that whole opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith is excellent. And then like I don't know, it's kind of like a sad movie to watch because like you sort of don't want, or at least I don't like want Anakin to like turn to the dark side. Yeah. Like it's kind of hard to watch, I guess. Like just thinking of him just slaughtering a bunch of
if he wasn't in that
Jedi.
If he wasn't in that room with Mace Windu,
right,
we wouldn't even had a series of movies.
Just stay in the room, But then there's also that argument too whether Mace Windu actually beat the Emperor in the lightsaber battle, or whether the Emperor like threw the fight so that Anakin would intervene. Where do you guys stand on that?
I think
I've never heard
he threw it
before, but I could see that.
I think he threw it when I was watching it.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Okay. Yeah.
That I always thought, no matter what, I was like, oh yeah, he's faking it.
Okay. I had another point too, but I lost it. Something to do with Revenge of the Sith. I mean, the whole
Anakin loses.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say the whole like Padme dying of a broken heart. I thought was kind of lame, like the way it was done, and then like she kind of pops out the kids, and then just like this is Luke and this is Leia. Like it just like you were saying, it's just tying up loose ends.
The last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like they make her out to be this very like remarkable woman who became queen at like age 15 or something like that, which was actually an elected position on Naboo, I guess. And then like I don't know, it just it just like, what did you think of the whole? A lot of people criticize like Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Anakin too. Where do you land on that?
I didn't like. I thought he did a good job. It's just.
I think the dialogue was
it's
bad.
It's still weird to think that Anakin is Darth Vader. I guess too. Like.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead, Chuck.
I thought they made Anakin's I thought they made Anakin's character very whiny. I didn't like in the second one.
Right.
In episode 2,
right.
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to blame the actor. I feel that the character, it's just very. I know he's like supposed to be going through emotional, whatever, through all this trying to.
He just wants to love, but he can't love.
Exactly. But it was just so whiny, and I don't know. I was not happy with that portrayal of him.
I feel like it's more the writing than the actor, though, because like
exactly. Yes.
As I've watched the movies over the years, I like try to envision myself in his shoes, trying to deliver those lines, and like obviously I'm not an actor, so I'm not gonna do better than him anyway. But like I try to envision myself just saying those lines, and a lot of them just like are clunky, you know.
Yeah.
They're made to make you sound whiny, like you're saying.
Yes.
So
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to take it away from him. I don't think it was him. It was just the way it was written, and I don't like that's where they led Anakin through. It's like I know there's got to be the battle, like for him to become. Darth Vader, but he was just so
right.
whiny.
I guess that was the whole that was the whole point. Is he was whining because he didn't like the way things had to be or way things were going, and that's why he ends up.
I know, but just.
On the dark side because he can control life, basically. He wants to be able to save his friends and family and prevent death and restore or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I know. I just...
For all the wrong reasons, kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only part I really didn't like him too. I just didn't like the way Anakin was portrayed. And again, it's not because of the actor.
Yeah.
But
I feel like if at the end of the movie, after Anakin got his legs chopped off, if he just said, "'Tis only a flesh wound," that would have made the whole trilogy for me.
"'Tis mere flesh wound." That'd be great. You have no legs.
He lost 3 limbs, didn't he?
Well,
definitely the legs and part of his arm. I mean, not the whole arm.
He lost
He lost his arm in the second one.
Right. He lost the one arm that he didn't lose, I think, in the third one and the second one. So
he lost the one arm that he didn't lose. So by the end, he lost all 3 limbs, or all 4 limbs.
I think so. I could be wrong on that.
I could be wrong too, even though I just watched it. I want to say he just lost his legs. In the second one, they just gave him like a replacement arm.
Yeah, sort of like Luke's hand, you know.
Right. So I want to say when he was on the gurney at the end to be transformed into Vader, he still had the arm on the far side that was away from the camera. Yeah. I could be wrong though.
Like his actual arm or his mechanical one?
Everything else was like an end cap, basically.
Yeah. I mean, Obi-Wan had the high ground.
which is another line I didn't get, because he did not have the high ground in the first movie.
Yeah,
against Darth Maul.
The exact opposite. All. Yeah, the exact opposite of. Which brings me to another point where I feel like they shouldn't have killed off Darth Maul in the first one, but I mean,
so that was another thing that kind of surprised me because I didn't realize he was a one and done. Like I just remember all like the toys and everything coming out around the time those movies came out, and I was like, oh, he's the bad guy in the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I think he should have been.
And then he was gone. I was like, all right, so who's the bad guy in the trilogy?
Right.
And then what was it?
Count Dooku.
Dooku.
Yeah.
Yep. There's another character. It's like I can't look at him. It's like, oh, it's Dracula.
Right. Yeah.
It's the man with the golden gun.
Christopher Lee, I think, is his name in real life.
Christopher Lee. Yep.
Obviously a fine actor, but like I don't know that he was right for I don't want to say that role, but like I feel like the Darth Maul role should have been continued throughout the series. But they did say one of Lucas's intention with those was all three villains foreshadow Anakin like becoming Darth Vader. You have the fallen Jedi in Count Dooku. You have General Grievous, who is the robotic, cyborg thing. And then Maul, I guess, is like his anger, the angry Sith apprentice or something. Or I don't know.
And the word Darth.
Darth, yeah.
Darth.
That's like a Sith title, I guess. There's a bunch of Darths if you go into the expanded universe.
Yeah.
But I feel like I remember watching that movie. I was first of all shocked that Liam Neeson died because I wasn't expecting that.
By the way, retroactively, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen any of these movies. We're going to be doing these types of podcasts on.
Well, it's over 20 years old. If you haven't seen it, guess what? It's tough.
And then Maul, I guess, technically doesn't die because if you watch the Clone Wars, he comes back in the Clone Wars, but for all intents and purposes of the movies, he's gone. But he comes back, and once you get past that, it's kind of ridiculous that Obi-Wan like cut him in half, and then like he. But I mean, I guess there's plenty of characters in Star Wars that have robotic limbs and stuff like that. But like it's just a matter of like how soon did he get medical attention? I guess when he fell on the shaft, or whatever. But
I guess as long as you don't get hit by a lightsaber and then like completely disintegrate, you're okay.
Right.
Oops.
So, yeah. That's another thing that is kind of bothersome about the whole series of Star Wars is how characters just keep coming back. So it's like dying in Star Wars isn't really that big a thing because they can always bring you back somehow.
Yeah, never-ending story.
It's like comic books.
Yeah, comic books are similar. I feel like I had another Maul. Oh, yeah, that's where I wish they had gone with the story. Was they kind of went this way with the Clone Wars, where Maul is like kind of hell bent on revenge against Obi-Wan, and I think like if they had done that with the movies, like have him still lose to Obi-Wan, obviously, but like maybe not get cut in half and fall down a reactor shaft or whatever it was, and then obviously the character has motivations to destroy the Jedi as it is, but like then he's kind of like the nemesis of Obi-Wan. Then I felt like they were just constantly introducing new villains that I didn't really understand their motivations. Like I never really understood. Like through more research and through supplemental material, I found out more about Dooku. But like I didn't really understand who he was or what he was doing when he just showed up in Attack of the Clones,
Yeah, I can agree.
But
it was just all of a sudden there was Christopher Lee.
Yeah. I think it's almost like we can get Christopher Lee to do this movie, let's get a part for him or something, but maybe.
Boom. There he is.
And allegedly why am I drawing a blank on his name? God.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
No,
Oh, got it.
Oh my God, he's like the most famous actor in the world. Leonardo DiCaprio was like in talks to play Anakin.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
What do you think he would have done with that role, though?
He'd be coming off, if you think about it, for him to play that, he'd be coming off of Titanic almost.
Titanic, yeah. He would have been coming off of Titanic.
How could you sit there and see Jack and all of a sudden, Jack is all of a sudden now Anakin? No way.
Well, he was the hottest actor in the like at the time. He was coming off the biggest blockbuster ever in Titanic at the time.
Yeah.
And like there's a ET or something interview, like Entertainment Weekly or whatever, where he's talking about it. He's like, yeah, we're talking with George Lucas and we'll see where it goes or whatever. And
Thank
obviously it
goodness
didn't pan out,
happen.
but
Thank
you think
God.
so? Really? Thank goodness. I would have loved this. There's actually a deep fake where somebody
I would have loved it. I would love to have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have been interesting. Personally.
I mean, he was kind of whiny as Jack too, so he would have fit in as Anakin.
Yeah.
No. Leo's good. Doesn't need to do it. I'm glad they didn't have him.
I mean, again, that just falls into like, I felt like that time they got all these actors that were just getting big and making bigger names for themselves than the characters they're doing now, where they're getting people that are good actors, but they're going to be more, I feel like they're still going to be more well known for their roles in the Star Wars movies than anything else. I mean, which time will tell with these recent ones, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my take on
Daisy Ridley's doing that.
on the actor choices.
Daisy Ridley's doing that movie with Tom Holland now that like has been in like reshoot.
Pre-production for forever.
Yeah. Well, they've started shooting, I think, right?
Now,
Yeah.
What? Well, I mean, it was parts of it were in post-production, but then they had to go reshoot everything, and now he's like
Yeah.
4 years older, 5 years older than he was when it was originally filmed. Like, yeah, I can't remember what it's called though.
It's like another sci-fi thing or something, right? I think.
Is it? I feel like I can remember like pictures of him in a forest for behind the scenes or jungle.
Yeah.
But I might just be confusing it with Uncharted too, because he's supposed to be in that.
I don't remember. Let's see if I can find it real quick. But that movie has been like delayed and everything, because it was supposed to be out well before all the.
Chaos Walking.
Is that what it's called?
An auspicious is as auspicious of a sci-fi film project as one can get, according to Den of Geek.
I don't even know what that means.
Auspicious.
Perfect.
Well, anyway, so I guess as we're wrapping up here, are you glad you watched him, Eric?
I'm glad it's out of the way. Yeah.
It's out of the way.
I'm glad it's out of the way.
Wait till Indiana Jones.
I don't foresee myself wanting to go back and watching them anytime soon. I kind of, after watching them, I do want to watch the original trilogy again. But yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
They were fun.
Yeah, I think that's what they're supposed to be too. You know, like
They were fun.
a lot of times we just read way too deep into these movies, like not just Star Wars, but like a lot of these things.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially
it happens in. Yeah, well, especially you sometimes. I feel like it happens a lot with stuff where it's preceded by source material or a series or something that was well received. Obviously, you're putting the pressure on anytime you come after something like that.
Right.
Especially when you're coming after it 15, 16, 20, 30 years after. Like,
Yeah, the hype. And they
yeah, I'm glad I saw it.
had just done the digital remasters of the original trilogy like shortly before those came out, so it was kind of like fresh in people's heads again, you know, because those movies had just gotten out of the theaters like in, I don't know, the late 90s, like right before.
Oh, yeah. Remember that.
So anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
That's all you got? I know. Sorry, guys. Again, yeah, I was pretty quiet tonight. My internet is atrocious. I heard maybe half of the conversation tonight. So I was a little quiet, but you know what? That's good. Sometimes I talk way too much. So, so Eric says, you know, he's happy to see it. If you want to see it, guess what? Again, this goes right to Disney Plus. Disney, you got to sponsor us. We keep keep pushing things towards you. But you can check out all those.
Why would they sponsor us when we keep on giving them free?
Yeah, I know, right? We got to stop doing this. What the heck? But yeah, you can check all the Star Wars, obviously all of them, or at least the good majority of them, right on Disney Plus. So be sure to check that out. Again, as always, we'd like to thank Uncle Pete's Lightsabers and Repairs and More. If you need your lightsaber repaired, stop by Uncle Pete's. He'll take care of you. Special thanks again, Eric, Chris. Thank you very much for guiding that one since I was having such tough technical issues tonight. And again, everybody, if you have an idea for something you want us to do for the podcast, please let us know. Reach out to us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Love to hear what you guys would love for us to talk about, whether it's movies, entertainment, could be anything. We don't mind. As long as you guys are reaching out, we want to talk about it. So we appreciate you listening tonight. Eric, Chris, may the force be with you guys. Good show tonight. And
also with you.
Always.
Lift up your sabers.
We lift them up to the Sith Lord.
Let's give thanks to Obi-Wan and all. Okay, no, we're going to stop. Sorry. Okay. So anyways, everybody, thank you very much. Be sure to subscribe. We will see you guys next week for a whole nother, who knows what. We're kind of, I don't know. We haven't really decided yet. We got a couple ideas out there. It could be about cats. Maybe we'll do something about cats. Just for summer. Anyways,
not
everybody
movie,
have a good
right?
week.
Not the movie.
So have a good week, and we will see everybody next week.